So we're about 4 to 5 weeks out from when Joe and Anthony Russo start film Avengers Doomsday, aka Avengers 5, just outside of London. And I'm almost feeling like the Russos are leaking their own movie because at this point they are telling us so much that the fake scoopers must be getting annoyed because they can't say anything because the Russos have given us so much without giving us context. So let's break it down. So, yo, what is good, YouTube? Warstu here. If you are new around here, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the Marvel, DC, Kaiju, multiverse, pop culture-based content that I try to deliver on a daily basis. If you could, subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and let me know down below. Are you a fan of RDJ being Doom, but he's really going to be a Tony Stark variant, but they're not going to undo the 2019 Endgame Iron Man death scene when he snaps his finger and wins the day? Let us know down below. Let us know your best theory on what the freaking hell is going on, because the Russos have told us quite a lot. Also, check us out on Instagram at Warstu to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful face. And check us out on Twitter, WarstuG. Right. So, a few days ago, Anthony Russo said there is nobody else in this world who could play the character the way he is about to. And I made a video saying, yeah, that's because this Doctor Doom is either going to be the real Tony Stark or a variant of Tony Stark or a multiverse variant of Tony Stark. And I was like, yeah, my boy Cillian Murphy should be playing Doom. And there was some hyperbole in the comment section. Cool story, bro. Well, Oppenheimer, Robert Downey Jr. wins an award for the best supporting actor. My boy Cillian Murphy wins an award for the best actor. Make it make sense. So the reason why my boy Cillian Murphy can't currently be Doom is because he did not play Robert Downey Jr.'s version of Tony Stark and Iron Man in the MCU for over 10 years. And that is the only reason why no one else in the world can play this role better than RDJ, because Doom essentially is going to be some kind of variation of Tony Stark. But let's hold on a little minute. Robert Downey Jr. himself has already come out and said he is not a variant of Tony Stark. And they've also come out and said that they're not going to undo the 2019 Avengers Endgame I am Iron Man. And we all know what happens next. So, an interview with The Times of all people. Why is it UK press getting all the best questions and answers? Give creditation to UK press, lads. So, the Russo bros confirm that Tony Stark's death in Avengers Endgame is part of Doctor Doom's story in Avengers Doomsday. So, I've not actually even got to what they said yet. So, does that mean when Doctor Strange, went forward and seen all the different equations of what could happen potentially in the future, did he actually see what was coming with someone that looked like Tony Stark being Doctor Doom? So they said this: we can't explain that as it's part of the story, but there's nobody else in the world who can play the character we're about to, because it's going to have to be an Iron Man Tony Stark variant, which would make a lot of sense. But you've got to understand, a lot of the fans are not happy about Doom being played by Robert Downey Jr., and a lot of people weren't keen about the casting. And they're still not, because they think it's going to change, retcon, or disrespect the whole story arc that Tony Stark, or at least who we thought was Tony Stark, arc that it went through. So there's only a certain amount of ways they can actually deal with this. Now we know that Doom's storyline is connected. So RDJ's Doom is either going to be like an adopted version of the Tony Stark variant, or the MCU 616 Stark will be an adopted Doom variant. So it's interesting. There's loads of scenarios. So Howard Stark, in an alternate reality, takes his wife Maria and infant son, Tony, to Latveria for an arms deal, family vacation, or something like that. I'm spitballing. During this trip, the Winter Soldier assassinates Howard and Maria. But before he can kill Tony, he's scared off by Cynthia Von Doom, a Romani sorcerer. Cynthia raises that infant, Tony, as its own son, renaming him Victor Von Doom. Victor is genetically the same as Tony Stark would be because essentially a variant, but has the upbringing as Doom from the comics, except for not being the biologically related to Cynthia. Or anything could happen. Or in the 616 universe, Howard and Maria Stark are not Tony Stark's biological parents. The Tony we know was adopted as a baby from Latveria. His name was actually Victor Von Doom. The RDJ storyline they could do is just a normal version of Doom from an alternate universe where he was raised by his birth parents, Cynthia, and you know how that goes. Both scenarios play into the fatherhood, daddy issue themes that have been present throughout Iron Man's history. So it's interesting. The Iron Man scene, the death scene, has some correlation to Doom's whole storyline, but we've always got to go on the prerequisite and the presumption that they weren't lying, the Russos, when they said they're not going to undo the Iron Man 2019 death scene in Avengers Endgame. So it's not going to take a genius. So the most common theory that we had that was going around the internet, I've essentially just gone over it briefly, is that either the Iron Man that died was really Doom, or the Doom that we're getting now is really going to be Iron Man, and we will get someone like Cillian Murphy being Doom, but not till the end of Secret Wars. So when they said the other day, only Robert Downey Jr. can play this role, that's because it's going to have to be some kind of variation. Now, I just feel like the Russos don't care for leaks because they're yapping too much. They've told us so much. The latest bit of information is absolutely insane. Tony Stark's death is going to play a major part in Doctor Doom's story. So this is courtesy of Twitter, where I read the quote. But if you've been anywhere like Instagram, TikTok, so on and so forth, everyone's like, I really don't want him being Tony. I want him just to be Victor. But it seems like this Doom is not actually going to be Victor. Probably going to be Tony. But does that mean that the Tony Iron Man who died was really just Doom? It's going to be so simple to explain this. And it's going to be interesting because people are going to be like, yo, your theory was right. No one actually was the first person to say this because it's literally coming from a comic book storyline, from what it can understand. But an alternate universe Stark surviving the snap over time becomes corrupt. There's so many ways they can go with this because he's got the knowledge of the multiverse, learns magic, starts to conquer the multiverse. And we know this is all going up to like him having to face God Loki, Atlantis Loki, because obviously he's holding together the 616. And the 616 is the most important timeline of them all. So I guess it is true that in this movie, even if it's going to be flashback, Robert Downey Jr. is playing Tony Stark, he is playing Iron Man, and he is playing Doctor Doom, but that doesn't necessarily mean this confirms there's going to be an evil team of Avengers that are variants of the OG Avengers going up against the new Avengers. So you're going to have fake Captain America going up against Hydra, Chris Evans, Captain America, so on and so forth. It's going to be more interesting. I'm really looking forward to the discussion down below. What the freaking hell is happening? Or maybe the most logical reason would be Tony Stark was the 616 anchor, and his death was the catalyst of everything that is going to come. If that is the case, then I don't think this reveal is that bad. But I still like to think that Tony was actually a Doom variant instead of the other way around. So Tony, as in Tony that died, was a Doom variant. And this version we're going to get is actually going to be the real Iron Man. And he's not actually going to be evil. And we know he just wants to save the multiverse if they're loosely following the comic book storyline. Not that I know anything about the comics, but you get what I'm saying. And we know this is going to have to end in some epic conclusion, which is going to be a soft reboot into Battleworld. And let's just hope Cillian Murphy signs the contract if the storyline is good enough. And they also said that Robert Downey Jr. is writing his own origin story. Pretty damn wild. And I'm freaking here for it. But I hope they don't just do... I would love to have Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. facing off against Doctor Doom, Robert Downey Jr., same face, facing off against each other. That would be so freaking lit. So how are the rest of the heroes going to react to seeing Doom's fate on the face of Tony? The scene with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, in fact, the scene with all of them, Thor, Scarlet Witch, so on and so forth. It's going to be freaking insane. But I hope they don't just reduce Doctor Doom to a Tony Stark variant and that's it, because that would be the biggest fumble ever. And Marvel have just fumbled already with Captain America 4. Disney's going to fumble was no why. Marvel just needs a win, and hopefully this can be the win. So like always, guys, I'll catch you in another video very soon, guys. Catch ya later.